let's just put it this way. Most of my days begin with me having to clean up pee. And it's basically like usurping and revenge and death and guilt. Like that's what we got, and some witches. And this is definitely an exercise in like growth mindset and resilience and just perseverance and just like figuring it out. And once again, it's reflective teaching, so I'm always gonna go back and say what worked, what didn't work. Good morning, welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. If this is your first time here, my name is Marie. I'm a high school English teacher in San Diego, California, and it has been a minute since I've vlogged. I don't think I put out a vlog for like 3 weeks. Let's just put it this way. Most of my days begin with me having to clean up pee. And then I go to work, and that is the life of a teacher mom. Most of my lesson plans for today involve students getting stuff done. My sophomores are gonna be taking a reading quiz, and then they just have some reading to do, and they have some work to catch up on, and I wanna make sure that they are successful because we're gonna be finishing out this unit over the next couple of weeks, so I wanna make sure that kids actually have time to read while I'm there, and I can help them with annotation skills and that sort of thing. So that's sophomore classes today, and then I have one section of seniors who are going to be starting a project on the play Macbeth. So we just finished out a it's basically one big Shakespeare unit. We did a little first half of the unit on Hamlet, which was all driven by me, and now Macbeth is all gonna be driven by them. And so I'm gonna talk about how I've prepared them and how I'm putting the onus on students to guide their own learning, and how I'm setting them up for success to do so that they're not just like floundering. But I need to head into work. I will check in with you guys in a bit. Do you like my watch? This watch, and I have never been, I'm trying to get it to focus for you. I have never been a huge watch wearer necessarily. I've always like wanted to, but for some reason I just never quite find, watches either feel really clunky or like too small, and I have like big hands. So Yode Watches, and I will link them down below, has reached out to me, and we are doing a little giveaway contest. So if you follow the link that is right down below this video, and enter the contest, the giveaway, you could enter for a chance to get $100 off your own watch. I really do like this watch, and I'm not even just saying it because it's really cute. Here, look, take a look, see? So the watch itself, the band is with a frame, and the band are wooden, and it's got this like rose gold face, and it's really, really easy to read, and it's a large watch face without being like, I don't know, like bulky and manly, and I am a really big fan, and now I'm actually wearing a watch, which is very, very helpful because I'm that teacher that talks over the bell almost every single time if I'm not really paying attention. So this helps me pay attention without having to rely on my cell phone. Yeah. Oh, hey there. So I'm currently on my prep period right now. I just wanted to kind of catch you up on what has gone on. I've already had both of my sophomore classes, and then I have prep, and then it's lunch, and then after lunch I will have my senior class, which is what I am doing some last minute prep for right now. I will go over what I did with my sophomore classes in a little bit, but I need to finish putting together a sample of a project that my seniors are going to be working on. So like I said before, we already studied the play Hamlet, and we used the film, the Mel Gibson film, which, okay, my friends who really know Hamlet really well, and you know the film adaptations of Hamlet, the Mel Gibson, Glenn Close adaptation of Hamlet is when it comes to like story accuracy, because it's kind of like the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet, right? Where they take pieces of the play and it gets moved around a little bit. It's not horrible, it doesn't completely screw up the understanding, but like the biggest glaring difference is that the to be or not to be speech, which is supposed to, or the soliloquy, is supposed to precede the get thee to a nunnery scene that Hamlet has with Ophelia, but for some reason in this adaptation of the film, they flip them. So it starts with get thee to a nunnery and then to be or not to be. And so that actually gave us a good like conversation point, but I digress. So We've just done Hamlet, using film as text and then doing close reads and different sorts of like characterization and analysis activities as we watched each act of the play. And now it is time for us to move on to Macbeth. So the way that I am basically pushing forward and taking all of the work and all of the close reading and the analysis skills that we worked on with Hamlet, and now transferring that skill and knowledge set to Macbeth, is that rather than me presenting to them the text, students are going to present to each other the text. So I've put them into small groups. I have 10 different groups, 2 groups per act. First act, or first half of the act, second half of the act, and they are doing a project where they are presenting the plot of whatever scene or scenes they've been assigned in a creative fashion. They are presenting 2 or 3 key passages from the play or from their assigned scenes. Gosh, sorry, I'm a little dopey right now. And they're analyzing those key passages and annotating. And so I'm working on a sample right now, which I'll show you in just a second. And then the last piece is actually an annotated close read of a good chunk of one of their scenes. So I am doing the sample with Hamlet, Act 5, Scene 2, the death scene where everybody dies, because that is the one that is freshest in their minds. It is the most accessible, quite frankly. We're basically going from Hamlet, one of the longest, and objectively one of the, if not the, one of the most psychologically complex of Shakespeare's plays, to Macbeth, which is single storyline, like there are no subplots. It's the shortest of his plays, and it's basically like usurping and revenge and death and guilt. Like that's what we got, and some witches, right? And it's just a fun play, and it's about to be October. I'm just like super into it. So I'm going to finish up what I'm doing for their sample. See, I've annotated my little key passages, and then get that all set up for everybody to see. I'm gonna do a little bit of work, and then I'll check in with you guys in a few. Hello again. So it is now after school. My kiddos have all cleared out. Lights are back on. As you saw, I had them put the chairs up because Fridays are our vacuuming days. And I am just about to take off out of here, but I wanted to show you guys a few things before I go. And I wanted to reflect back a little bit about this Macbeth project I was telling you about. So I didn't get to pop back on during my prep period because I just got into planning, and I was explaining to a couple colleagues a couple of the things that I have going on just because they were interested. So I just got caught up in a couple of conversations. So, but I wanted to go through just some things because I think it's really important, especially when we're trying new things, but like all the time, especially when we're trying new things, to reflect and check in with kiddos and see how they are doing so that we can adjust our expectations maybe, or just like our scaffolding that we give to make sure that they are successful. So the assignment that I gave my students yesterday, but then I really went over today in my 12th grade English class having to do with Macbeth, is that they have between 2 and 4-ish, they have basically a half of an act, each of the acts, to present to the class, or like teach to the class in a way. And the project is in 3 parts. Like I said before, there's a creative plot summary, just summarize for us the plot of what happened in your assigned part of the play. There is 2 or 3 key passages from your part of the play with analysis. So just like annotate, analyze, and present your analysis. And then there's leading the class in a close read. It is extremely challenging because what I'm doing is I'm asking students to dive into a text that they have not read the entirety of, and that's okay because the way I see it, there are so many different resources to help the understanding and to put into context even different snippets of Shakespeare plays, especially Macbeth. And so part of this assignment is getting students to access those resources without me holding their hands, right? Like I'm taking a lot of the scaffolding away for this project so that they are forced to do a lot of the detective work and just like the figuring it out on their own. And this is definitely an exercise in like growth mindset and resilience and just perseverance and just like figuring it out. So I did find today that some students had a harder time jumping into the middle of a play, even with all of the different resources that they have. I had a couple of groups who had some difficulty really conceptualizing how and what was happening and who everybody was. So I'm seeing where I could have used at least like one more day of really just like immersing us into the story so that they are a little bit more comfortable with the story and the storyline and who the characters were, and where I could have some visuals up on the board as to who the characters were before asking them to like dive in on their own. So I'm seeing that. But so like the next time I teach this, where I'm gonna need to put more information and more work on the front end of the project so that students are more successful on their own. Yeah, so, you know, I'm just reflecting and like seeing how that works, because like I said earlier today, I want as much onus as possible to be on students for this project so that they can really feel like they are succeeding. So I do want to show you the example of what this project is. We studied Hamlet and we did a bunch of close reads of Hamlet and we looked at it through all these different lenses. I'm going to show you my example of this project so you can see what I'm expecting of students. Okay, pay no attention to, well here, this is all my grading this weekend because I have spent so much time focusing on planning, I am behind on grading. It's a lot of Hamlet close reads going on there and reading quizzes from my sophomores, but I digress. Pay no attention to the mess. Act 5, Scene 2 of Hamlet. Here's my Macbeth scene project example. So the first part is plot summary, and they have to summarize the plot and present it in a creative way. So I made an infographic that contains the major plot points of my assigned amount of text, which is Act 5, Scene 2. So I go through the major plot points and I made it really user-friendly and easy to understand. The second part was key passages. They have to do 2 or 3. So I was just showing them they need only between like 5 and 10 lines and 2 or 3 key passages that they think are really like the essence of the action that's happening in this part of the play. And all they have to do, here's my example. This is my handwriting that I took a picture of and then I put it on my slide. Annotating, explaining, analyzing, and showing the significance. Once again, annotating, analyzing, showing the significance. Another one, annotating, analyzing, showing the significance. And those are all from my assigned pages. And then at the end, whoopsie, I went too far. They have a close read, which I will be giving them. They're not gonna have to pick out and like create prompts for a close read that has like a critical lens attached to it. I have given those to them already. They're gonna do the pre-work and then they're gonna be leading the class in the class doing all of this once they've had the context and the analysis presented to them. So, and then there's my like completed example. And we did this as a class together, so they already knew what this was going to be. They've already seen this in my example from when we were actually doing Hamlet. So, and I'm gonna clean up a little bit while we sign off here. It's a lot. I'm asking them to do a lot. I'm asking them to do pretty difficult work that's pretty high level, except that, so like, we started class today and I showed them my example and their anxiety went like through the roof. And so I just incrementally kept saying, okay guys, let's work through this together. What else can I do to make you feel like you can be successful? How else can I support you and support you being successful in this as independently as possible? I am here to help guide you, but it is your job to really like do the active learning. That's what that's our goal. That's what we're going for here. So, you know, and once again, it's reflective teaching, so I'm always gonna go back and say what worked, what didn't work, and make adjustments here and there to make sure that students are getting what they need and making sure that I'm supporting them in the best ways that I can. So with that, I'm going to bid you adieu. Thank you so much for watching. If you want any more information on the project that I showed you, I'm gonna be putting it on my TPT source, so I will link it down below. If that is something that you think would work for your students, it's gonna work really well for seniors. I don't know, I would have to adapt it for younger students, I think, but I think seniors are just the right age to be able to take on that kind of responsibility when it comes to Shakespeare and dense text. Yeah. If you've not already subscribed, please take a moment to do so. Like this video, click the little bell so you don't miss the next vlog, and I will be back to weekly vlogging, I promise. Thank you guys for everything. I will see you next time. Bye.